Hey guys, it's Chris Baker, Team Westside Discs and Team Skybreed Discs, and we are out here at Sherwood Oaks Church 9-hole course to test out the new Dynamic Disc Evader and the new Dynamic Disc EMac Judge. So I've got two of my friends, Colin and Steve, with me here. Both are Explorer throwers. Colin, both actually putt with the Maiden. Colin, how do you think the new Evader and the EMac Judge feel?
Well, the Evader feels exactly like an Explorer, except the bottom edge is really smooth. So I'm very excited to try that out. It's very comfortable in the hand. The EMac Judge also feels very comfortable, a little thicker than a Maiden, but I'm excited to see how it flies.
What do you think, Steve?
I like it. I mean, it does feel a lot like a Explorer. I do think that where the flight plate meets the rim's a little thicker. Like it's a little, like the slope's a little different, so it feels a little different. Feels like it'd be good to forehand. I don't think this feels like a Judge at all. I'm gonna throw some Judges today also, but it feels thin, almost like a Deputy. But the plastic is so gummy and soft. It almost feels like soft rather than blend. I mean, I like it. I'm looking forward to throwing it.
I'm here with Garrett Baker. He is a junior rec level player. He's going to test out the new Dynamic Disc Evader and the Dynamic Disc EMac Judge. What are your initial thoughts on the feel?
I don't really have any discs that are like a good proxy for this type of disc. Maybe not Underworld, like a Hatchet.
Okay.
It feels thicker than most of my drivers.
Okay.
I don't know.
What about the Judge?
Like just like plastic wise, it does feel like a different plastic, but sort of feels like maybe a slightly thicker Maiden.
So you putt with medium Maidens. Your fairway drivers you like to throw are?
Jade.
You like to forehand?
Jade, Underworld, Hatchet, Convicts.
Convict forehand.
Yeah.
So Convict might be pretty close on forehands. We'll see how that goes. So I'm going to test out the new prototype Dynamic Disc Evader and the EMac Judge. I do throw Explorers. The Evader feels very similar in the hand to an Explorer. Has a little bit more of a rounded lip to it on the bottom. Not quite as much dome as an Explorer. I actually like to throw the Opto X Explorers, which are relatively flat, so it's pretty close to that. So we'll see how they fly. The EMac Judge doesn't really feel a lot like a Judge. Got a little micro bead, a little bit of dome. Has a little bit more of a rounded edge to it, similar maybe to like a Dynamic Disc Deputy. I'm gonna compare it with the Crown. I'm putting with Crowns right now and throwing Crowns, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so Colin's gonna play his first round. He is gonna go Evader, EMac Judge versus an Opto Explorer and his Maidens that he throws a lot. We'll see how it goes. So Steve is gonna compare our new protos with
Recycled Spark and a Judge.
All right, so maybe we're expecting the Spark to be a little bit more overstable.
I think so, and a little shorter from what I've been seeing. So we'll see. The Judge is a lot straighter. I don't really normally throw the Judge, so it's a lot straighter than I kind of expected. I kind of thought it'd have a little more finish. So we'll see what happens.
All right.
So hole one here is a pretty short hole. We typically throw something a little slower here, like an Anvil or a Justice on a forehand. Colin's forehanding the fairway drivers here and ends up a little bit long. We get some nice flights. We're all really excited to get out and throw these two new molds today. It was a beautiful day here in mid-March in Indiana. Garrett's forehand disc of choice is the Convict these days. He gets a pretty good flight there. Let's go the Evader a little bit early. Doesn't quite get the forehand flight he wanted. I have to take a little off of the Opto X Explorer here. Pretty smooth with both drivers. Here I'm going to test a forced turnover with both putters. So first I'm throwing the Crown. It glides in nice to the basket. Then follow up with the new EMac Judge. Garrett's first upshot with the EMac Judge. Really nice. Colin's normally putts with a maiden. His first putt here with the EMac Judge goes well. Steve is a straddle push putter. Makes his first putt with the EMac Judge. Same for myself. EMac Judge flies pretty similar to my Crowns on putts. Pretty straight into the basket. Colin just going straight at hole 2 here with his maiden. And then similar flight. A little bit lower with the Judge, both inside the circle. Steve isn't currently bagging a Judge, but he throws it really well. He does go a little bit long on this shot. A great flight. And then there's his EMac Judge. Pretty similar flight, very straight. A little bit of finish. Garrett throws a little low, dings off the electrical box there. Throws the EMac Judge pretty nice. Little right, but very straight.
Very nice.
I'm gonna fan grip on this hole. It's downhill pretty short, so I'm throwing about 50% power there with the Crown. Go a little long. Try to throw the same shot with the EMac Judge. See, you do get a little bit of finish there at the end with the EMac Judge. It's very straight, but it does have a little bit of fade at the end.
Ooh.
Colin makes a great putt
Nice
from
putt.
about circle's edge with the EMac Judge. Similarly with his maiden. I'm about 40 long. Hit one with my Crown. And just get a bad spit out with the EMac Judge, but another pretty solid putt. Colin's kind of testing the hyzer throw on this hole with his Opto Explorer. I'm trying to throw the same line with the Evader, a little bit lower, but it really pushes. It just stays in the air and really pushes.
That is so gliding.
Colin's a great putter thrower, and he likes to throw his maidens pretty far. He's just throwing them high and testing how they'll fade out. It's a really good pull on the EMac Judge there. Very straight and a little bit of fade there inside the circle. The recycled spark there from Steve. Pretty overstable. You can see the Evader pushes quite a bit straighter before it starts fading. Steve testing the putters on some full pulls.
So straight.
Very straight on the original Judge. And almost identical on the EMac Judge, just a little bit lower. Makes a great putt. Garrett flicking his convict here. Pretty good. His first forehand. Or second forehand with the Evader. Kind of flexes it over a little bit, but it fights out of it. Gets him to about 45. I love throwing the OptoX Explorer. Throw it a little inside, but I can throw it pretty hard. I know exactly where it's going to go, so I'm excited to see how the Evader compares. Pretty much the same line for me. Has a little bit more glide and a little less fade. Throw the putters. really similar. They just flip up straight with just a little bit of fade at the end. Nice putt from Steve. Garrett is in a turbo putting phase right now. He's very good from long range, very accurate. He was testing out his maiden in the EMac Judge. Those are my crowns. Sometimes from distance get a little bit more fade, whereas the EMac Judge seems to go a little straighter before it starts fading on a putt. Couple short forehands here. Very smooth.
Same shot. Stay in the air.
Steve throwing his Judge very straight,
Very nice.
right there inside the circle.
Stay in the air.
And his EMac has a little bit of fade to it there. Nice forehand from the evader. You see it can kind of flex out there. And his spark. See, it kind of has that more vertical finish as it spikes. This is Garrett's first backhand throw, the evader, and he threw it really nice. He's had trouble finding a fairway driver that he likes to throw backhand. He throws a Jade and a Underworld. He's been looking for something for wind, and this might be the disc for him. You can see the evader compared to the OptoX Explorer, it kind of flips up and rides a little bit straighter as the Explorer starts to fade. Garrett makes a good putt there with the EMac Judge. I'm going to try a little straddle putt there with the EMac. I'm going downhill. I like to straddle on downhill putts. Good result. Colin's putting a pretty full hyzer pull on his Explorer here and gets fade just in time to get down to the basket there past the two trees. He throws what I feel like is a pretty similar pull on the evader, but notice it kind of flips up and just pushes. You can see it just kept pushing straight. It never really faded inside those trees. Kind of a surprising result. Colin smashes this putter here. Gets a little bit of fade there at the end. Trying to throw the EMac Judge on the same line. It kind of flips and rides right a little bit. Not sure if we had a little bit of headwind that we didn't notice on this hole. Steve throws a great shot with the spark. He throws this evader a little bit differently. He was kind of learning off Colin's shot. A little lower and straighter, and then lets the disc do the work. Rides right a little bit and then fades back out towards the basket. Really good shot. Judge just kind of flips up, rides a little bit right, and then lands flat. Basically the exact same shot with the EMac Judge there. A little bit more right maybe. This is the kind of hole that Garrett has a little bit of trouble with finding a disc for. His understable drivers go right into the trees. This evader is beautiful. Flips up, rides a little right, makes it all the way down there past the trees. That's a great shot for him on this hole. I'm smashing pretty hard on this OptoX Explorer. Ride the tree line, get down to the basket. Try to throw the same hyzer with the evader there. Just nick the tree. Didn't quite make it up there. Trying some big high ante throws with the crown full power. See how it reacts and how the EMac judge is going to react here. Throw it a little higher, a little more inside. You can see it just kind of holds that turnover line for a long time. Colin's going to test out kind of a patent pending upshot, ante upshot with the EMac judge, and it goes well. Garrett's going to try another turbo. Almost. I've got a long, I'm going to try a jump putt for the first time with the EMac judge. Almost nail it, just a little right. Little 6, a little short one uphill. Practicing the forehands here with the fairway drivers. Colin rolled over a little bit, but I think in general the evader is just a tiny bit touchier on a forehand if you don't have that hyzer flip form. Here he throws the EMac judge with some hyzer, and it kind of rolls right on him a little bit. Steve's just more point and shoot right at it with both putters. They're coming up here. It's beautiful lines there on this shot. You can see how that spark again just kind of digs down on its fade. He kind of rolls over also on the forehand on the evader. Another great backhand shot from Garrett with the evader there. I'm just throwing a little fan grip 50% power shot on both of the putters here. It's nice because they don't have a ton of fade, so when you throw them soft they still go pretty straight. I was also testing the standstill forehands on both of these. I did the same thing on the evader there, kind of rolled it over. Colin's got a first putt, long putt with the EMac judge, just a little bit low. As the round went along, I really enjoyed putting the EMac judge. It felt nice. These prototypes were medium or classic blend, I guess you would call it, but were very soft in the hand. Grip felt great on them.
On film.
Now the crisis of what disc do I throw? Do I put a judge back in the bag? I just want just to be bad and give me clarity, right?
That may be the first ace I've ever caught on film.
2 for 2.
It's pretty exciting. With some glidey putters here, this hole can actually be a little bit tricky to try to get the distance right. Just kind of barely throwing it, but then you fluff it sometimes. Kind of let go early on the EMac judge and hyzers out on me. but it putts great. Makes up for it. So does the Crown. And Garrett finally makes his turbo. This hole says 312. It probably plays a little bit longer, about 330, 340. Pretty good test for these fairway drivers. Colin's fading out a little bit early. He just coming back from knee surgery or partial knee surgery, and I think by this point he'd thrown a lot of shots. Really nice drive from Steve with the evader there. Kind of see what it does. Just flips up, rides right a little bit, and then has really
Fought out
reliable
of it a
fade.
little bit at the end.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I think it's stable.
End up just a little bit short with the OptoX Explorer there. A little bit more straight push, the evader. A little bit more distance. Just sailed my Crown putt. A little bit closer with the EMac Judge. Hit it. That's probably 35. Putts so well. Another short hole. We're going to throw some forehands and some putters at them. But
Skippy. No, don't too much Skippy. That's not what I wanted.
just point and shoot. Both putters, very point and shoot. Steve was really throwing this original Judge great.
Judge instead.
Just a little bit more fade there with the EMac Judge.
Get over. Come on back.
Great forehand on the spark.
Circle.
Out of the background.
I think he tried to be a little more gentle with the evader, and he got off a little bit late and a little right. Last throw of the day here with the EMac Judge. Very straight. Just that little bit of fade at the end. I typically will throw forehand on this hole with this actual disc, or sometimes an Audi, and just aim a little bit more left. But I was able to get some nice smooth forehands out of the evader. You can see it just a little bit longer, pushes a little bit farther.
Birdie finish for Team Explorer Maiden. Last putt with the EMac Judge. Birdie finish. Good finish.
Oof, Steve with the center pole spit out there.
That's dead center.
Good round.
Yeah, that's all right.
Last putt of the day with the EMac Judge. Straight 20-footer.
So through both the Evader and the EMac Judge, Evader was a little less stable than I thought it was going to be, but still has some great glide. I'm sure a lot of people will like it. The EMac Judge felt really good. It had a lot of glide, which I was a little surprised about as well. But pretty straight, not stable, understable, just holds the line.
Steve, what do you think about the Evader and the EMac Judge?
I liked him. I agree with Colin. I didn't think the Evader, I liked it. Glided great, flew great, had a little more turn than I expected, had fade at the end, but it wasn't as stable as I expected. EMac Judge, I like. I don't think it's, I don't know, it doesn't feel much like a Judge. It glides good. The plastic's nice and soft. I'm a little worried about how understable it could be once it breaks in, but I liked it. It was fun to throw. So good.
I'd say the Evader was nice because I typically throw pretty understable, so it's kind of nice to have something that throws a little bit more stable. Like I might add this to the bag just for like a nice stable disc that I can throw pretty well because I had some good drives with it. And then the Truth, I'd say, the Truth, yeah, is
The Judge.
the Judge.
Yep.
I know how discs work. I'd say I liked it. I made some good turbo putts with it. Kind of felt similar to the Maiden, and it was pretty similar for upshots with similar to like the Maiden. Made some nice putts with it, so I'd say I like them both.
So after testing the Evader and the new EMac Judge, I really like both discs. Threw them both well, putted really well. I'd say the Evader is very glidey, probably more than my OptoX Explorer. Maybe not quite as stable, as overstable as an OptoX Explorer. Another good comp might be last year's Trilogy Challenge SPZ driver. Maybe not quite as fast or quite as glidey, but similar feel and goes really far. Good on forehands, a little bit more touchy than my OptoX Explorer or maybe like a Felon on a forehand, but you can still make it do some things on a forehand. With the putters, the EMac Judge really impressed me. At first I thought it kind of had an interesting feel to the rim, but it does feel really good, maybe even a little bit better. It's a little thinner than my Crown, but it feels really good in the hand, and I made a lot of good putts with it. This particular classic blend plastic feels really good on it too. Both great throwing putters too. I threw them some touchy shots, some full power shots. They always came out nice and flew nice. So yeah, I'm gonna test them some more and I'll let you guys know. Thanks.
All right, thanks everybody for watching. See you next time.